Thank you for listening to my podcast. Like my page on Facebook for daily inspirational quotes with pictures from Indian country and for other podcast interviews with successful Native or Indigenous people.
Hello, listeners. Thank you for joining me on 21st Century Native Leaders. My name is Peter Desmond III. I am here with Dr. Tommy Rock. Dr. Rock recently finished his research, which was focused on exposing uranium water contamination on the Navajo reservation. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Rock.
Yep.
So tell me about yourself, your plans, and where you come from.
Well, my name is Tommy Rock. I am from Manamit Valley, Utah, from Legit too. And my clans are Salt Clan, born for the mini goats, and my chair are the Bitterwater Clan, and my paternal grandfather or my Nellies are the Reed People Clan.
Oh, wow.
And I just recently finished my doctorate degree, or I got it back in December of last year.
That's amazing. So tell me about your research.
My research, the water quality stuff that I did was standards. I showed elevated level of uranium along the Perko River. We did some other sampling north and south of the Perko River, and we didn't see any elevated level. Just the only place that we've seen is on the Perko River.
So was there a uranium mine upstream from the Perko River?
Yes, a lot of mining and milling that has happened, and that is over in Church Rock, New Mexico.
Okay. And I read a little bit about your research. So what made you decide to study uranium and water quality?
Well, I'm interested in uranium particularly, like uranium contamination, uranium exposure. And the reason why I got into that is because my grandfather was a former uranium mine worker, and he passed away in 2006, I think it was. And he died of cancer. So, and I have other relatives that died of cancer as well. And before he went, I was telling my interest in what I wanted to do, and he encouraged me. So I wanted to help. Well, first of all, I wanted to help my grandfather, and then my other family and relative as well. But it expanded to not just my family or relative. I saw a lot of the same problems throughout Navajo that had previous uranium mining activity. So I saw a lot of the same issues, and the same complaint as well. So I started doing some more research, and I got a chance to learn a lot more. So it's just not just one family; it's like a whole series of areas and families that are having the same issue. So I hear a lot of the same things, and a lot of the presentations, and a lot of the report backs that I've been involved in. So in that sense, when people say that I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm talking about or never experienced, I understand the frustration, and I understand where the community member is coming from, because I was in the same position and I was frustrated, just like the rest of the communities that have been previously impacted by uranium. So through this research, I told them the reason why I was doing. It wasn't just to get a degree, but to learn more about it and try to help my community and my tribe as well to improve the quality of life in terms of uranium contamination and try to address it, which landed me with the Uranium Remediation Advisory Commission. and on that, and making my contribution to help improve the quality of life, and to have cleanup happen on Navajo Nation, which has never been done before like this. There's no policies or act or anything like that that's addressing abandoned uranium mines. So this is like the first thing that's happening. There's something like that happening. So I'm very happy and very glad to be a part of it.
My Che was a uranium miner up in Colorado, Dick Rock, and that area. So he had a lot of the issues with the uranium miners experience. I think when I was a fifth or sixth grader, he got a $100,000 payout for that. Is that pretty common today still?
There are people that are still trying to get that that funding, the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, the RECA, and some of them are going after the downwinders, like from the nuclear testing that happened, so the atomic bomb that they were testing over Nevada. So there's some people that are still not compensated for that, and they're still trying to get that and trying to fight that to get that. And like when it was going on, when the mining was going on, there were a lot of documents that were not signed, or there was like no official documents. It was like people were just like, we want to work right here, then start working. So there's no whole formality of signing up for a job. So that part is like where people are struggling, and this goes all the way back to like birth dates and a whole list of where people were born and all as well. Like when it comes to Navajo folks, like a lot of the elderly. So some of those documents that are missing are an issue when it comes to compensation for the Navajo families that have been impacted by uranium mining.
What are some of the biggest challenges to changing policy that you've run into?
Is the biggest challenge that I've seen so far is these results takes time, and that can take a while for that to happen, and the policies are changing very slowly at a very, very slow pace. And I think that's where a lot of frustration comes in, not only from the community member, but as a researcher and scientist, and trying to help improve the quality of life for Navajo nations. Like I see that, and it's happening, but it's happening really slowly, though, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think we need to do as a Navajo nation to get some of these changes implemented, or to get the ball rolling so we can get this uranium, these tailings and these abandoned mines cleaned up?
As someone that's been studying this for a while, I think that some of the changes where it needs to happen is when I go to these meetings or do research and talk to other researchers as well, there's always like an area that's always missing, and that area has to do with health. Each region has their own Indian health service that covers like a certain region, and the medical doctors from those regions on Navajo, they need to be educated on environmental contaminants. It's not just uranium, there's other contaminants as well, like arsenic is a big issue because of where we live in the red sandstone and all. So it's like a big old cycle. People have health, they go to a doctor, they'll get treated, they'll get better, or they get well again, and then they go right back to the same place again, and it's like a never-ending cycle that keeps going in circle. So I think the best way to address it is have the medical field or the medical professions get involved to start really addressing the issue in terms of environmental contaminants, and I think that's the way to go, the best way to go about it, and bring in the politician as well, because when it comes to uranium, it's just not just scientists that need to be involved, like people are doing research. There has to be like other disciplines that need to get involved as well. So I think that's the best way to address it. In addition as well to educating the younger generation as well, because when I do some presentations like for different classes, even at Northern Arizona University, I did some presentation, and some of those people or some of the Navajo students that are in those classes are not informed, or they did not know that there was abandoned uranium mines in their community, in their chapter, and they were shocked about that. So that information needs to be disseminated and have a lot more people get involved as well. Not only that, but with the water quality as well. With the water quality stuff, there was like we're living in an area, we live in the Southwest where water is very important, and water quality is important, and we need to know what the water quality is like so we can use that water sources for not just for drinking water, but for irrigation, for livestock, make it useful. And looking at a lot of those climate models, climate scientists, they're predicting that the precipitation will decline going forward, going to the future. So we need to start addressing that. We need to start having these dialogues about water conservation, water quality. And when it comes to groundwater, the lower it goes, when the groundwater drops some more, a lot of those heavy metals will go up. It'll concentrate more. So we need to find ways to address these as well. I know there are some Navajo scientists and other scientists that are looking at filtration system, and I think this is great, but they need to be out there, and they need to be in a lot of the discussion as well.
Oh, that's amazing. So who essentially is responsible for the cleanup? Is it the corporations or is it the government?
The cleanup, I think it goes to the federal government, because they were the ones that were initiating a lot of these uranium mines. Some of those mines started like in 1940, but some of those abandoned uranium mines actually started way earlier, when they were started mining, I believe, radium first and then vanadium, then it transitioned to uranium. But some of those old mines go all the way back to like 1918, I believe. So it's like a century. It's like a century now. A lot of those mines have not been cleaned up now, and we still have a lot of these mines that started from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, and even 80s. It's like the federal agency. I believe it came from the Atomic Energy Commission, and when the Atomic Energy Commission was split up, like Department of Energy and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, those two federal agencies, they are involved, but they need to have a lot more money going to these cleanups. And we're just only looking at this one area. We're only looking at Navajo Nation so far, which has like about 523 abandoned uranium mines. But if we look at the West, or if we look at the U.S., I believe there's like over 15,000 abandoned uranium mines. And it's not just only impacting Navajo, it's like impacting our neighbors, the Hopi Nation, the San Juan Paiute, the Ute Nation as well, even as far as like Spokane and the Lakota Nation in North and South Dakota as well. So a lot of these areas need to be included as well, not just Navajo. And a lot of these areas that are being impacted are on indigenous land as well. And we're just beginning to have this understanding of how it's being impacting our life, our tradition, our culture, because as indigenous people, we use the land entirely different, meaning that We use the plant for food. We use the plant for medicine. We use a lot of the wildlife for food as well. So our relationship with the land is entirely different, and that needs to be looked at in some more in-depth happening, and again, it's happening slowly as well.
Right, I can see that. So how expensive is uranium mine cleanup?
It all depends on where it's located. For example, if we compare some of the abandoned uranium and like in Cameron, which are a lot of them are surface mines, like open pit mines, versus some of the mines that are in Monument Valley or Cove or Red Valley. Some of those mines are in areas that are difficult to access, and that means you have to go and improve the roads, make it safe for the workers to access a lot of those mines, and the cost eventually goes up even more compared to like an area like in Fort Cameron, which is just flat and you can just go right over there. But there's also outcrops out there as well, natural outcrops.
So do you think, does the Navajo Nation or the Navajo people or the descendants of people that were uranium miners and people that live in those communities, do you think they need to file like a class action lawsuit, or what are the steps that people would take?
With the legal stuff, I would say like probably talk to a lawyer about that. But
Oh yeah.
but for the community members, I think they need to be informed. They need to be better informed of what's going on. I know there are researchers from Northern Arizona University, University of New Mexico, and even researchers from University of Arizona as well, and have like a central source so people can go to these locations and find out the impact, like environmental impact, impact to their health, their community, and how past exposures are happening. And I think that needs to happen, like one location, one central location, where all this information can be stored and shared and be disseminated. Because there's a lot of communities that have a lot of questions, and a lot of those questions haven't been answered yet. And unless they come to these conferences or go to these researchers and reach out to them, then a lot of that information will be disseminated as well.
So it definitely entails a lot of educating then.
Yes, a lot of education. And again, too, like I've been involved with water quality sampling, and from Northern Arizona University to University of New Mexico as well. And when you go to a lot of these chapter meetings, you see a lot of the elders. And again, the generation that needs to be informed are students, like from K to 12th grade, and they need to be informed as well. They need to be educated about these impacts as well. We're all getting older, so it's like they're right behind us. So instead of reinventing the wheel, they can start where we left off, and they can go take it to another level.
So with that question, just to take a spin off of that, what areas of research need to be expanded with uranium contamination?
Some of the areas that need to be looked at is like our traditional food sources and our medicine as well, and how to address it. And is there a way to fight it? I know that Dr. Johnny Lewis talks about, I believe it was, he's saying that help address being exposed to uranium. So that study needs to happen as well.
So what was the most surprising discovery you found with your research?
For the Sanders situation, I discovered that Even though we have these scientific proof, scientific results, the regulators don't seem to be concerned about that. There's this whole disconnect at times, and without the help of media to show them the cause and effect and the consequences related to public health, then that's when things change around.
So is there a lot of research out there focusing on uranium contamination around the Navajo Nation?
There's some research happening, like from Northern Arizona University, University of New Mexico, and there's some that's happening from University of Arizona as well, and Genetic College as well. Genetic College is involved in a lot of these researches as well.
So it's the research area is expanding slowly then.
Yeah, which is good. Like it's helping create a lot more future Navajo scientists, which is pretty awesome.
That's always good. Have you seen the impact of your work in the growing body of research?
I would say that with the stuff that happened with Sanders area, like when we did that research and study, and we informed like community members and NBC News, the whole of it, like NBC News from Arizona. We as a group, we as a research team helped change the laws for the small water system in Arizona, which is a positive, which is a great thing. Like it's one of those cases like David versus Goliath, where we actually won one, and those small victories really helped. So I can see people getting more involved, getting more informed, and especially in terms of policy changes, I believe that a lot more is going to happen, and more research happening, and I see a lot of that's going to happen in the near future. I'm being optimistic, by the way.
That's always good, right?
Yeah.
So let me take a little bit more personal to you. I mean, I know there's not a lot of natives out there with advanced degrees. What was the biggest challenge to you completing your PhD?
Funding, financial. Like some days I won't have enough to eat, and I'll be starving, and I don't have enough money. Yeah, I think that was the biggest one. And
how about as far as academics?
Academics. The hardest part has to do with like I heard the statistics when I first got into the PhD program. There's a difference between female and male PhD students, and when it comes to males, there's only a very few of them that will make it. And a lot of that has to do with like finance or family stuff, and just having that support, I think is really crucial. The other thing too is like when I was doing not just my PhD, but when I was doing my master's, I have a lot of family that passed away as well, so it really mixed with my head at times, and at times where I can't even focus and I can't even study, like just trying to get focused again and trying to do my study was at times very difficult. So for those people or for those students that are struggling like that with loss of family, friends, there is help. And I was too stubborn to ask for help, but I finally asked for help, and I got the help that I needed to deal with a lot of those losses.
So a lot of emotional or psychological help then, huh?
Yes.
Wow. So, I'm ABD right now, all but dissertation. And very similar to what you said, 2 years ago, my dad passed away, and I was in my last year. I wrote my first 3 chapters for my proposal. My chair and my content expert approved my research. But my dad passed away, and I just lost that drive, that fire to complete it. And like you said, these things, life happens, and it just threw me off track. And I'm trying to get back into that, where I feel that desire to complete my PhD. But I like that you said that. So how long did it take you to complete your PhD journey?
5 years, from 2012 to December of 2017.
Wow, that's amazing. What do you think prepared you to meet the rigor of a PhD program?
Just a lot of my grandfather's teaching. My grandfather or my grandparents, they're teaching about so running in the morning, making my heart strong, making my mind strong, and just being focused on what you want and not relying on anybody else. I think that falls true nowadays too. Like I still see that. I still have that desire and that hunger as well. Through all the adversities, I always think about my grandfather's teaching, and one of the things that my grandfather always that said this to me is one time is like, I'd rather not, if something happens, you lose someone or your girlfriend or whatnot, I'd rather not see or hear about you feeling sorry for yourself and just laying around and start drinking and doing stuff like that and not accomplishing anything. Like, you're better than that. That's why I go run and go out, be active and do all these things, so which will make your heart strong, make your mind strong, make your mind resilient, I guess you would say. Make your mind and your heart resilient to all these adversities that's going to come going forward. Because anything in life that's worth accomplishing, worth getting, like degrees and all, there's all these obstacles that will get in your way. So it's not a straight line to get there. So it goes up and down, and it's a struggle. And so we just have to be determined, motivated, and have that drive and ambition, or ambitious.
Nice, I like that. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I do like that some of the politicians on Navajo are involved with addressing these uranium contamination, like Eric Deschini, actually guy, Winona Benali. I like the drive. I like their support, and I like that they're helping our tribe as well.
I agree. So how can people contact you if they want you to speak about your research?
They can contact me through, I had a couple of people that contacted me through Link, I think it's called, like through social media, like Facebook or Instagram. Or if they want to contact me, they can contact me at tommy.rock@utah.edu. I'm doing my postdoc here at University of Utah, by the way.
So you're in a postdoc program?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing.
I just got my first research proposal out last week on Tuesday, and so far I got a lot of positive feedback from that. And that's working with the Northern Navajo, and I'm working on another one that's looking at some water stuff up in North and South Dakota, has to do with the Missouri River.
So we are all set. I do appreciate the work you're doing, and I follow you on Facebook and Instagram, and I think it's absolutely powerful, the positive role model that you are for our Native students. And I think that's why towards the end of the interview, I asked you about that journey, your PhD journey, because it's definitely, I think in my research classes, they said only 6% of students or people get a PhD or a doctorate or a JD. So, that's pretty powerful, and you're out there working to improve our people and the image that we have of Navajos. So I commend you for that and continue to work. And we all said, if you could send me a picture for the background of the podcast, I would put a picture on the back of it. That'd be great.
Okay, all right. And one last thing too is if you follow me on Facebook, then you probably see that I do work out a lot, and that has to do with I always like to think of healthy mind, healthy body. So and when it comes to research and being a scientist and all, like some days you get really frustrated, and working out is a positive way to de-stress myself, and it makes me focus on something entirely different, which really helps a lot, and I feel better that way as well. And that's another positive thing that I encourage people to do as well. There's good Native role models out there, which is pretty great in terms of health and working out as well.
Donna Biga. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy research schedule to share your knowledge and your experience and your research with me and my audience. Thank you.
Yep. Like to see you get your degree as well.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get motivated to get it done. I'm almost there. I'm trying to think about it. It's in the back of my mind, so it's starting to come about. So hopefully in the next year, I'll get that done and finished.
Good.
So,
Jenna?
I'll go on that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Thank you for listening to my podcast. Like my page on Facebook for daily inspirational quotes with pictures from Indian country and for other podcast interviews with successful Native or Indigenous people.